Hey everyone, this next story might resonate with those of you working far from home. It's a tale about a young man, just a small town boy, who left behind his first love and hometown to chase his dreams in the big city. There, he meets a woman, already married, but still strikingly young and beautiful. He falls for her hard, and let me tell you, things get complicated. So sit back, relax, and get ready for First Love, tonight's story on my channel. My name is David, and I'm 20 years old. Willow Creek is where I'm from. Small town you've probably never heard of. Right now, I'm working as a mechanic at a shop near the Northgate Industrial Park. Now a little about me. I'm a country boy, through and through, with a tan that proves it and a six-pack that I work hard for. And okay, I'll admit it, I've had a wild streak. I had a fling once with someone I probably shouldn't have. Miss Anya, my neighbor back home. It all started on a rainy afternoon, back when I was a senior in high school. My folks were out working the fields and weren't back yet. I was home alone, making dinner, when I realized we were completely out of rice. I panicked. It was pouring rain, no way I was going to be able to get more. I figured I'd just have to tough it out with whatever scraps we had. That's when I heard Miss Anya calling for help from next door. Miss Anya was a city girl, originally from out east, but married a guy from our town. Her life seemed pretty comfortable. Her husband, Daniel, was the wealthiest guy in our neck of the woods. They had a nice house and a big garden. Daniel made good money from the timber on his land. Sadly, he passed away a few years back in a bad accident while he was out of town. Folks whispered that he was mixed up in some shady business, but nothing was ever confirmed. Anyway, Miss Anya was 32 at the time, and me, well, I was just 17. She was stunning, a real head-turner. That city girl elegance about her just amplified her beauty. Though there I was, rushing over to her place, hopping the fence and landing right in her yard. I found her in the kitchen, sprawled out on the floor. I checked the bathroom, but no sign of her. Then I heard her again calling my name, David, David, help me. I found her by the well, behind the house, by the banana tree. She had slipped and fallen, and her ankle was twisted. It was a hot day, and since no one was home, she decided to cool off with a quick outdoor shower. Her daughter, Violet, was away visiting her grandparents that day, so Anya was all alone. And there she was, this gorgeous married woman, lying helpless on the ground. I have to be honest, the sight got to me a little. But I shoved those thoughts aside. This was a matter of helping someone in need. Miss Anya, are you okay? Let me help you. I raced over to the well, and there she was, sprawled out on the ground. It was scorching hot that day, and since no one else was home, she decided to take a quick rinse by the well, cool off a bit. Her husband, Daniel, had passed away earlier that year, leaving Miss Anya to raise little Violet on her own. Violet was off at her grandparents' for the day, so Anya was all alone. Man, she was something else. Even lying there, she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. And she wasn't wearing a stitch of clothing. I'll admit the sight of her like that stirred something in me, you know what I mean? But I shoved those thoughts down. This was about helping someone who needed it. Miss Anya, are you all right? Let me help you.
David, thank God, she gasped. My ankle, I think I twisted it.
Turned out she'd slipped on a bar of soap she'd left by the well. Guess you could say she was in a rather compromising position. I carefully helped her up. I tried not to stare, to be respectful. But it was tough. I'd never seen a woman like that before. As I was helping her across the yard, I felt a certain part of my anatomy reacting to the situation. I could feel myself turning red, and I think Miss Anya noticed too. She gave me a knowing smile, and I wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. We got to her bedroom, and she asked me to grab her some clothes from the clothesline.
David, would you mind grabbing me a fresh pair of panties too?
She called out. My face was on fire. I mumbled a sure thing and grabbed a red pair from the line. She thanked me, acting as cool as a cucumber. I swear, that woman had no shame. No worries, Miss Anya. I should probably get going anyway. Just as I turned to leave, she called after me.
David, honey, wait. You're soaked. You'll catch a cold for sure. Come on in and take a quick shower. You can borrow some of Daniel's clothes.
Truth be told, I didn't need much convincing. I was already starting to think about how empty my own house was, and my stomach was growling. Maybe, just maybe, she'd invite me to stay for dinner. But Miss Anya, What about dinner? Shouldn't I let you get back to...
Don't worry about that, hon. I'll whip something up. It's kinda lonely around here without Violet. Come on in, keep an old lady company.
She had a wistful look on her face, like she was about to cry. I felt bad for her. Being a widow in a small town like ours couldn't be easy. I showered quickly and joined her in the kitchen. She'd already set the table. And get this, she even had a couple of cold beers waiting for us. She was wearing a little red tank top that showed off those curves of hers. My jaw almost hit the floor.
Dinner's ready, David. Just some stir-fried bean sprouts and duck eggs. Hope you like it, and thanks again for helping me out back there.
She said with a playful smile. Anytime, Miss Anya, neighbors gotta look out for each other, right? She laughed, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Well, I guess there are all sorts of ways neighbors can look out for each other. She was really flirting with me now. I stammered. Right. Well, what the heck was I supposed to say to that?
Just kidding, honey. I know you're still just a kid, but you're looking pretty grown up these days.
She didn't finish her sentence, but she didn't have to. We locked eyes for a second, and it felt like the air crackled with electricity. I mumbled an apology. Sorry, Miss Anya, you're just really beautiful, that's all.
How about you just call me Anya, okay? No need for formalities. And about that little problem you had back there, maybe we can pretend that didn't happen?
We ended up polishing off all the food in those beers. It was the first time I'd ever had beer, and let me tell you, it was amazing. As the alcohol hit me, Anya started to look even more beautiful, like she was glowing. Couldn't take my eyes off her. I felt like I was under a spell. She leaned in close to me, her voice a low whisper.
David, I've been attracted to you for a long time now. And with Daniel gone, well, let's just say I've been awfully lonely. Do you think you could help me out tonight?
Her eyes were shimmering with unshed tears. I felt a surge of sympathy for her. She was so beautiful, so full of life, and yet so incredibly lonely. Without another word, I nodded. Anya led me to her bedroom. I'd never felt so nervous, so excited in my life. She was like a beautiful dream, and tonight, that dream was coming true. That night, Anya took my virginity. She was everything I'd ever imagined and more. That's how our secret relationship began. Throughout my senior year, we were together whenever we could be, mostly at her place. Life went on like that for a while. I had a few girls in my class who were sweet on me, but honestly, I didn't have eyes for anyone else. Anya was amazing in bed. She knew all the tricks, and we had this incredible connection. She really knew how to take care of a guy, if you know what I mean. I had no idea what I was missing out on before. And Anya, well, she seemed happier than ever. Like she'd finally found something she was missing in her life. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't all sunshine and roses. Anya was careful about our relationship. We couldn't risk anyone finding out. The guys in town were always making eyes at her. She'd always say, "David's the only one for me." I knew I couldn't stay in Willow Creek forever. "David, honey, you need to go out and make something of yourself," Anya would tell me. "Don't worry about me. I'll be all right. Once Violet's a little older, I'll find a way to join you in the city." My family didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. If I stayed home, I'd be stuck in a dead-end job, barely scraping by. Anya encouraged me to dream bigger. So, I made up my mind to head to the city. I enrolled in a mechanics program near Northgate Industrial Park, figuring I could work and study at the same time. The day I left, Anya drove me to the bus station. It was heartbreaking saying goodbye. We held each other close, both of us with tears in our eyes. I really didn't want to leave her, but I knew I had to do this. We had a quick dinner at a little roadside cafe before my overnight bus was scheduled to leave. Let's just say we found a way to make the most of our last few hours together. 3 times, if you must know. Anya had a way of relieving the tension, let's just put it that way.
Promise me, you'll study hard and make something of yourself, David, she whispered as we kissed goodbye. And don't you dare forget about me, you hear?
I boarded the bus, my legs still shaky from our last encounter. I felt exhausted, but in a good way. As the bus pulled out of Willow Creek, leaving Anya and everything familiar behind, I couldn't help but wonder what awaited me in the big city. I left my hometown behind, determined to make a life for myself. I landed a gig as an apprentice mechanic at a shop near Northgate Industrial Park. I was working my tail off, learning the trade, and only pulling in a measly paycheck. I didn't care. College wasn't an option for a guy like me, but I was a fast learner, and I could fix just about anything with an engine. 3 months in, I was already impressing the boss, getting a raise and a pat on the back. I found a room in a nearby apartment complex. Nothing fancy, but it was close to work. 3 months in, I still hadn't really met anyone. I worked long hours, came home, ate, crashed, and did it all over again. The occasional beer with my coworkers was about the extent of my social life. There was this couple living next door, Ethan and Evelyn. He worked a rotating shift, 2 weeks days, 2 weeks nights. Evelyn worked days at some factory. One Tuesday evening, I was off early and grabbing my laundry from the clothesline when I bumped into Evelyn heading back from work. I'd seen her around, of course, but we'd never actually talked. Seeing her always reminded me of Anya back home. They had a similar look about them, and I couldn't deny that I was drawn to her. I'd seen her hanging laundry before, wearing these loose-fitting clothes that hinted at the curves underneath, and it did things to me, man. This time, I decided to be bold. I flashed her a smile. "Hey there, just getting off work?"
"Sure am," she said, a tired smile on her face. "You're home early today."
"Yeah, got lucky." "Where's your husband? Don't you two usually get home around the same time?"
"He's at a different company now," she explained. "He won't be home till later. I had to ask a friend to watch my little one, so I could leave work early."
"Oh right, I thought you two worked at the same place. I'm David, by the way."
"Evelyn? Nice to finally meet you, David."
"So you're from around these parts too, huh? Willow Creek?"
"Not quite. We're from up north, near the Cedar Creek area. You?"
"Willow Creek. Born and raised." I could feel my face getting warm. 3 months I've been here and we're just now talking, huh?
"Well, better late than never. I better go get dinner started. Catch you later, David."
Later that evening, as I was heating up my own sad dinner, the most amazing smells started drifting over from Evelyn's apartment. I peeked in, and there she was, wearing these tiny shorts and a tank top that showed off this intricate sun tattoo on her back. I couldn't help myself. I blurted out, "Whatever you're cooking smells incredible. Any chance I can get in on that? Or should I just invite myself over for dinner with you and your husband sometime?"
"Thanks, but I think we're good. Maybe another time."
She was right about that. I mumbled a goodbye and went back to my own apartment to grab the rest of my laundry. I couldn't get Evelyn out of my mind. She was maybe 5'6", with a strong build, but man, those curves, every inch of her was just, wow. She had to be a MILF. There was no other explanation. Only a MILF could be that hot. Around 6 p.m., I was done with my shower and putting out my laundry when I spotted Evelyn's husband, Ethan, washing his bike. I figured it was time to get to know the guy. You know, be neighborly and all. He nodded a greeting as I walked up and I returned the gesture. We did that awkward head nod thing a couple of times before I finally spoke up. "Hey man, getting off early on a Friday?"
Yeah, my company likes to give us a head start on the weekend. You too?
"Nah, I'm still in trade school, learning to be a mechanic. Been here about 3 months now."
Cool. Name's Ethan from up north near Cedar Creek. You?
"David. And yeah, I'm from Willow Creek up in the mountains." I wasn't sure how to keep the conversation going. Then I had an idea. "Hey, you ever play any pool?"
A little sure.
"You down for a few games after dinner?" "I'm buying. Heard Evelyn makes a killer fish sauce hot pot."
You bet she does. And I'm always up for a cold beer with a fellow northerner. This whole apartment complex is full of city folk. It's good to have someone who knows where we're from. You know?
I noticed Evelyn's eyes on me throughout dinner. She kept stealing glances in my direction, and I caught her staring a few times. I tried not to let it bother me, but I couldn't figure out what was going on in her head. Was she jealous? Did she not want me getting chummy with her husband? I snuck a few glances back at her, and I had to admit, she really did remind me of Anya. Same pretty face, same flirty energy, same killer body. After we finished eating, I helped Evelyn clear the table. Then Ethan and I headed out for that pool game. As we played, I learned a bit more about them. They had 2 kids, a daughter who was 5, and a little boy about 3. They'd been in the city for a little over a year, trying to make a better life for themselves. Ethan was 35, and Evelyn was 30, 11 years older than me. But honestly, with her youthful looks and that body, she could have passed for 18. The following week, I was getting back from work around 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was beat from a long day and hanging up my laundry when I saw Evelyn coming home too. "Hey Evelyn, long day?" I asked. She sighed, dropping onto the stoop outside her door.
I'm dead tired.
Same here. But hey, at least we have a reason to keep going, right? Gotta put food on the table and all. I'd finished hanging my clothes and was standing beside her now. Her shirt gaped open a little. I caught a glimpse of that lacy pink bra and those incredible curves. I felt a surge of heat run through me, and I had to force myself to look away.
Yeah, tell me about it. You got a wife and kids to worry about, David?
Nah, it's just me. Haven't found the right girl yet, I replied, trying to sound casual.
Well, that's smart. Focus on building your life, honey. Plenty of time for love later. Besides, getting married young just complicates things.
You're telling me. You and Ethan seem to have it all figured out, though.
You know, things aren't always what they seem.
What do you mean?
It's just, Ethan, he's not always the easiest person to live with. He can be kind of rough around the edges, you know? Loves his beer and his buddies, not always so great with the romance. 2 kids later, and we're like ships passing in the night.
Whoa, seriously, but you have 2 kids already. And you look amazing, Evelyn. I mean, you don't look a day over 18.
Oh, you're sweet. Don't let my husband hear you say that. 2 kids definitely take their toll, believe me.
No, I'm serious. You're stunning, Evelyn. It's no wonder those guys at work are always checking you out.
Oh, stop it, David. You're just trying to make an old lady blush.
We talked a bit more, and she confessed that Ethan was working the night shift that week. That meant 2 weeks of him being gone most of the night.
He doesn't even call to check in, can you believe that?
I felt a pang of sympathy for her. Man, that's rough, Evelyn. Look, how about this? We should hang out sometime. You know, just as friends. Give you someone to talk to who's not your husband.
You know what, David? I think I'd like that.
We exchanged numbers and made vague plans to meet up for coffee. As I watched her go inside, I couldn't believe my luck. Was Evelyn really open to hanging out with me? Could this be my chance? Later that night, around 7 p.m., I watched Ethan head off to work. As soon as he was out of sight, pulled out my phone and texted Evelyn. "Hey Evelyn, it's David. You asleep yet?"
Nope, just finishing up some chores. What's up?
"Just bored out of my mind over here. Thought I'd see what you were up to."
Bored, huh? Any cute girls at work you can chat with?
Haha, very funny. It's serious. I'm going crazy with boredom over here.
Well, in that case, you should invite some of those factory girls out for a drink. You're a good-looking guy, David. I'm sure you'd have no problem finding someone to hang out with.
Maybe she was right, but I couldn't stop thinking about her. How about you? Coffee? Maybe? My treat? It's only 7:30. We could catch a late-night movie or something.
Tempting offer. But seriously, you're better off finding a girl your own age.
I'll take that as a yes. I'll wait for you to finish up, okay?
Hold your horses, cowboy. I'm kidding. I have to finish up some laundry, but then I'm all yours. Don't get any ideas, all right? I'm bringing a friend.
Honestly, the thought of Evelyn setting me up with one of her friends wasn't exactly thrilling. I figured I'd play along. Sure, whatever you say. The more the merrier. Who knows, maybe we'll hit it off? Turns out, her friend Chloe was this cute girl from out east, just 19 years old. She worked with Evelyn at the electronics factory. We were originally going to grab some coffee. Chloe was craving street food, so we ended up at this little restaurant down the road. We were having so much fun, we even ordered a couple of beers. A few beers in, and Evelyn was already feeling tipsy.
Okay, I'm done. No more for me.
Chloe wasn't letting that stop her fun, so I kept her company while Evelyn stuck to water.
Let's walk it off at the park.
My mom will kill me if I'm out too late, though. I better head home now. Your curfew's earlier than mine.
Aw man, okay, see you guys later. Chloe left, and Evelyn and I strolled through the park. It was late, close to 10 p.m., and the park was pretty deserted except for a few couples making out on benches. We found an empty bench and sat down. I felt a little bolder now that we were alone. As we were walking, I'd casually reached out and taken her hand in mine. She didn't pull away. In fact, when I looked over at her, she had this mischievous smile on her face. We reached a bench and sat down. She scooted closer to me, her shoulder brushing against mine. I caught a whiff of her perfume, and it drove me wild. Evelyn didn't say anything for a while. She just smiled to herself, her eyes fixed on the star-filled sky. I couldn't help but think about Anya again. There was something about Evelyn, the way she carried herself, her gentle touch, that reminded me so much of her. It was driving me crazy.
You know, it's been ages since I've done something like this. Just hanging out, enjoying the night. Ethan and I used to go on dates all the time. Back in the day. Didn't matter if we had money or not. We always had fun. Now it's just memories. Yes. We look like a regular couple, don't we?
I grinned, my face feeling warm. Yeah, I guess we do. This is actually kind of like my first date ever, or at least it feels like it. Evelyn's eyes met mine, and for a moment the world seemed to melt away. We were lost in that look, and then, without a word, our lips were locked in a passionate kiss. It was electric, the way her body molded against mine, the taste of her lips, the scent of her hair. I felt like I was drowning, and I never wanted to come up for air. But then, just as quickly as it started, she pulled away. Her eyes were wide, her breathing ragged.
Oh my God, David, what have I done? I'm so sorry, I wasn't thinking.
Hey, it's okay, I said, my heart pounding in my chest. It's getting late anyway. Come on, I'll walk you back. We walked back to the apartment complex in silence. As we approached her building, she stopped me.
Wait here, I'll walk the rest of the way. Don't want anyone getting the wrong idea.
I watched her disappear inside, my head spinning. Things had moved so fast. We hadn't even said the love, but that kiss, it felt like something real. Maybe it was the loneliness, or the beer, or just being in the right place at the right time. But Evelyn had responded to me in a way that no woman ever had. It was exhilarating and terrifying, all at the same time. Back in my apartment, I texted, "Good night, Evelyn. Sleep well." She didn't reply. I lay in bed, replaying that kiss in my mind. The feel of her body pressed against mine. I couldn't stop thinking about her. I found out later that she hadn't slept well that night either. She told me she'd taken 2 showers, trying to wash away the memory of our kiss. I couldn't help but wonder, was she trying to forget about me, or was it her husband she couldn't get off her mind? Early the next morning, I woke to a text from Evelyn.
Morning, David. Listen, about last night, maybe it's best if we just forget about it, okay? Don't mention it to Ethan, please. I think the beer was talking more than I was.
Don't sweat it, Evelyn. It was the beer for me too. No big deal. I tried to sound nonchalant, but honestly, I was a little disappointed. It seemed like she was already trying to put some distance between us. A few minutes later, another text popped up.
David, I gotta be honest, I'm pretty messed up about this whole marriage thing. Why are men such jerks? They're all lovey-dovey when they're trying to get you into bed. Then once you're married with kids, it's like you don't even exist anymore.
Hey, not all guys are like that, Evelyn. What's going on? You can talk to me.
It's just, Ethan, he's so distant, David. We barely even talk anymore. He's always grumpy, always complaining. I try to spice things up, but he's completely oblivious. I miss feeling wanted, you know?
I knew exactly what she meant. I thought about how Anya was always in the mood, how she craved my touch. Maybe he's just stressed, you know? Working long hours to provide for his family. Don't be too hard on him, Evelyn.
Oh, please, he's always got time for his buddies and his beer. Trust me, David, this has nothing to do with being stressed.
You know what? Forget about him for a while. Come on, let me take you out for breakfast. We'll get some coffee, maybe some pancakes, and you can tell me all about it.
Oh, David, that's sweet of you, but I don't think that's a good idea. Ethan's on his way home, maybe another time. I've got to run, got to get some groceries. Talk soon.
Okay, talk soon. And Evelyn, I like you. A lot. She replied with a heart emoji and a smiley face, then went offline. It was almost noon when I finally heard back from her.
David, please. You're a sweet guy, but I'm married, remember? Plus, I'm way too old for you. We can't go there.
I didn't reply right away. I didn't want to push her. But I wasn't about to give up either. Later that night, she texted again.
Hey, are you free tonight? I need to pick up a few things at the supermarket. You want to come with?
I jumped at the chance. Sure, I'm down for that. I met her at the store and we loaded up her basket with snacks and other essentials. I even threw in a 6-pack of those fruity alcoholic drinks she liked. As we walked out, I suggested, "Hey, let's enjoy the cool evening air for a bit. There's a nice spot by the creek we can chill at." She hesitated, but then nodded. We found a secluded bench by the creek and cracked open a couple of those fruity drinks. "Evelyn, you're a beautiful woman. It's only natural that I'm attracted to you.
David, please. You know how many couples move to the city and their marriages fall apart? Affairs, divorces, it's a mess. I don't want to be another statistic. Besides, I love Ethan, but sometimes I just need to feel something again.
I gave her my best reassuring smile. Relationships have their ups and downs, right? Don't worry, things will work out. In the meantime, focus on taking care of yourself. Day. Without warning, she leaned against me, resting her head on my shoulder. I could feel the warmth of her body through her thin t-shirt. I couldn't resist any longer. I leaned down and gently kissed her hair. Come on, let's get you home before your groceries spoil. I knew I was pushing my luck, but I couldn't help myself. I wanted her, and I knew she felt it too. She sat up, her eyes clouded with desire and confusion.
No, you're right. I should go. This is wrong, David. I'm married. I can't.
Evelyn, don't fight it. I know you feel it too. I've liked you for a long time now. I can't get you out of my head.
David, stop. What if someone sees us?
She got up to leave, but not before giving me a sultry look that sent shivers down my spine. As she disappeared into the apartment building, I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. This time, when she got on my bike, she wrapped her arms tightly around my waist, holding on like she never wanted to let go. Yeah, I knew she was starved for affection. As we got back to the apartment complex, I helped her carry her groceries inside. As I turned to leave, she surprised me by leaning in and kissing me softly on the cheek. She didn't say a word, just smiled at me with a mischievous twinkle in her eye. From then on, it was like we had this unspoken understanding. When Ethan was on the night shift, we'd meet up for coffee, go for walks in the park, or even just hang out at the supermarket, pretending to run into each other. We'd steal kisses whenever we could, our hands brushing, quick touch on the cheek. When Ethan was on the day shift, we'd text constantly. He often invited me over for dinner, wanting a drinking buddy, and I always accepted. Truth was, Ethan didn't seem to pay much attention to his wife anymore. It was almost like he didn't care. One afternoon, while I was tidying up my apartment, I discovered a small hole in the wall that looked directly into Evelyn's place. It was high up, near the ceiling, but it gave me a clear view of her bedroom. I'm not proud of this, but I started thinking about the possibilities. Maybe I could catch a glimpse of her getting undressed, or... That night, I waited until around 8 p.m., then pulled up a chair and peered through the hole. It was like watching a private show. She was wearing this silky, cream-colored nightgown, and she headed upstairs to their bedroom. Lucky for me, they slept on the top floor, right above my apartment. As she was getting ready for bed, she turned her back to the hole, her curves silhouetted against the light. Holy smokes! It felt like I'd been punched in the gut. She was even more beautiful than I'd imagined, her skin glowing in the soft light. I grabbed my phone, needing to talk to her, even if it was just through text. Hey Evelyn, you still up?
Yep, just saying goodnight to my little guy. What are you doing up so late?
Just finished eating. You haven't called Ethan tonight?
Are you kidding? He's such a drag to talk to these days. Every time I call him at work, he acts like I'm interrupting something important. What's up? If you don't have anything important to say, don't call. It's like he's embarrassed that I'm his wife or something. Makes me not even want to bother.
Well, if he doesn't want to talk to you, you can always talk to me. A wave of heat washed over me. She was wearing that nightgown again, and the fan was blowing it around, giving me these tantalizing glimpses. Evelyn, you have no idea how much I miss seeing you. She didn't reply, but I watched as she reached for her phone.
David, don't, okay? Chloe's a sweet girl. Maybe you should ask her out sometime. She's single, no complications.
Chloe's great, but it's not her I'm thinking about right now. It's you.
David, please. I'm married, remember? With 2 kids, this is wrong.
Come on, Evelyn. Don't you ever feel like you're missing out? I know I do. Let's just hang out this weekend like old times. What do you say?
Oh, all right, you win. But just as friends, okay? I should get some sleep. Good night, David.
I couldn't stop thinking about Evelyn. About seeing her like that, so exposed, so vulnerable. I spent the next few days researching spy cameras online, the kind that could record 24/7. Craning my neck to peep through that tiny hole was getting old fast. I found the perfect little camera, disguised as a button, and carefully installed it in the wall, angling it towards Evelyn's bedroom. It was Saturday night, and Ethan had just switched from the night shift back to days. I was glued to my phone screen, waiting for the show to start. Around 9 p.m., Evelyn headed upstairs, wearing that same silky nightgown. As usual, she wasn't wearing anything underneath. A few minutes later, Ethan came lumbering in, wearing nothing but a pair of basketball shorts. They both flopped onto the bed, scrolling through their phones.
Seriously, 2 months, and you're not even a little curious?
Thought you were always up for this.
What's gotten into you?
You're seriously asking me that? You think it's easy being married to a guy who ignores me all the time? I'm practically throwing myself at you, and you act like you couldn't care less. You haven't said a romantic word to me in weeks.
Oh, come on, Eve. You're being ridiculous. You think you're the only one with needs? Besides, you've got 2 kids. What do you think you look like? Like some hot college chick?
Evelyn's eyes welled up. Ethan, oblivious, rolled over and passed out. I watched as she buried her face in her pillow, her shoulders shaking with sobs. I felt a wave of sadness wash over me. It wasn't fair. Evelyn deserved better than this. Anya, too, for that matter. Both of them, stuck in loveless marriages, yearning for something more. I found myself fantasizing. What if I could have both of them? What if polygamy was still a thing? I drifted off to sleep, my mind filled with images of Anya and Evelyn. The next morning, I was outside, watching discreetly as Evelyn went to the little convenience store down the street. When she came back, I decided to tease her a little. "Someone's looking chipper this morning," I said, giving her a sly grin. "Have a good time with the hubby last night?"
Oh, shut up, David. You're terrible.
Aw, come on, Evelyn. Don't tell me you're still hung up on that guy. I'm a catch, you know. What about me?
What about you? You're jealous of Ethan? Last time I checked, we weren't exactly an item.
Maybe not, I shot back. But a guy can dream, can't he? I turned to go, then paused. "Look, I'm heading to the bar later. You should come. Drown your sorrows. My treat."
David, drinking your problems away isn't the answer.
"It's not?" I pretended to be shocked. "Then what do I know? Look, it's not like I'm asking you to run away with me. It's just a few beers." I could tell she was tempted.
Fine, but just one drink. I need to be a responsible adult and make dinner for my loving, attentive husband.
Of course, that wasn't true. Ethan was going out with his buddies that night, leaving Evelyn home alone again. I already knew, of course, thanks to my little spy camera. That night, I watched as Evelyn tried to initiate love with her husband. But he just rolled over, completely uninterested. She looked so defeated, her eyes welling up with tears again. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed with a text from her.
Craving those spicy noodles. Want to grab some tomorrow?
It was a date. I could feel it. The next day at the noodle place, we acted as if nothing had happened. Don't get me wrong, a part of me was still upset with her, playing the good wife when I knew how unhappy she was with Ethan. But mostly, I just felt bad for her. She deserved to be happy, to be with someone who actually appreciated her. Saturday night rolled around, and Ethan was out with his buddies again, leaving Evelyn home alone. She wasn't wearing her usual nightgown that night, just a skimpy little tank top and a pair of shorts. I was glued to my camera screen again, watching as Ethan came stumbling in, clearly drunk. He stopped in his tracks, noticing his wife's outfit. I could practically see the lust in his eyes. Evelyn didn't say a word. She just watched him as he parked his bike, then headed upstairs, leading him to their bedroom. Ethan didn't even bother with a shower, just ripped off his clothes and followed her. The lights went out, replaced by a dim pink glow from the nightlight. Even with the grainy camera footage, Evelyn looked incredible. Her curves were accentuated in the soft light. Ethan wasted no time getting down to business. But it was over before I knew it. 2 minutes. Tops. Ethan stumbled off to the bathroom, and I saw a flicker of disappointment cross Evelyn's face. Yeah, Ethan might have been physically there, but he clearly wasn't giving her what she needed. She deserved a man who could satisfy her, who could make her feel like a woman again. I knew those kinds of thoughts were wrong, taking advantage of their troubled marriage, but I couldn't help myself. The more distant Ethan became, the bigger the opportunity grew for me to step in. It was payday, and Evelyn had gone out with some coworkers to celebrate. I figured she could use a good time, so I wasn't surprised when she texted me later that night. A little tipsy.
You out partying tonight, David?
Nah, just chilling here at home. Thought about asking you out, but you seemed busy with your work friends.
Just a couple of beers with the girls. Nothing exciting.
Bummer. I was hoping we could celebrate our paychecks together. Looks like I'm stuck with instant noodles for dinner.
Ah, you poor thing. You should have said something. Did you already eat? I can bring you some leftovers. Those noodles are terrible for you.
Not hungry for food right now. Just thinking about you.
Oh, stop it, you. I'm serious, I'm exhausted. Think I'm just gonna crash as soon as I get home.
I couldn't help myself. It was like I had to push her buttons a little. Ah, come on, one little picture? For me? I'm sure you're looking as gorgeous as ever. A few minutes later, she sent a selfie. She was flushed, her hair a little messy, but still incredibly beautiful.
Your turn. Show me what you're working with over there, city boy.
I sent back a picture of myself wearing nothing but a pair of tight boxers, my six-pack on full display.
Wow, someone's feeling confident. What is that, a six-pack of abs? Working hard at the gym, are we?
Gotta stay in shape for all the ladies. What do you think? Good enough to eat?
Haha, you're terrible. Seriously though, I've heard those six-pack guys. Not always so impressive in other areas, if you know what I mean.
I knew exactly what she was doing, and I wasn't backing down. I took things a step further, sending a more revealing photo.
Whoa. David, what am I supposed to do with that? Delete that right now, you hear me?
Come on, Evelyn, live a little. You're not offended, are you? I just wanted to prove you wrong.
You're incorrigible. Seriously, David. Find yourself a nice single girl. This married woman is off limits.
But you're the one I want, Evelyn? Don't you feel it too? I glanced at the camera feed. She was holding her phone in one hand, her other hand moving rhythmically under the sheets. I had to bite back a groan. So what do you think? Bigger than what you're used to? David, you're impossible, so inappropriate. I'm going to bed. I watched, captivated, as she continued to touch herself, her breathing getting heavier, her moans muffled by the pillow. Evelyn, don't stop on my account. You know I like to watch.
David, you're unbelievable. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Come on, Evelyn, let go. I know you want to. Does Ethan ever make you feel like this?
This isn't fair, David. It's not fair to him or to me.
It's the 21st century, Evelyn. We're adults. We can do what we want. Besides, I'm not asking for anything you don't want to give. I kept my eyes glued to the screen. She was close now, her body writhing under the sheets. I watched, mesmerized as she climaxed, her body trembling. A few minutes later, she texted back.
I'm sorry, David, I fell asleep. Thank you for understanding. Just give me some time, okay? I need to figure things out. I do care about you, David. You know that, right?
I knew she needed some space, so I just texted back, "Good night, Evelyn. Sweet dreams. Love you." After those photos and that video, I could tell I'd gotten under her skin. Maybe it was my persistence, or maybe she really did like what she saw. Either way, I had her attention now. The next day, I was just getting dinner started when my phone buzzed. It was Evelyn.
What are you up to tonight? Snails for dinner?
I couldn't help but grin. Was she actually asking me out? For you? Anything. Just let me get changed.
No need to get fancy, unless you want to recreate last night's look.
Evelyn, you're terrible. Okay, I'm coming over now. As I was walking over to her apartment, she texted again.
Ethan's working the day shift, remember? Meet you at the eucalyptus grove down the road in 10 minutes? Don't be late.
I practically ran to meet her. I found her by the trees, sitting on a bench in the shadows. As soon as I got close, she pulled me down beside her, her arms wrapping around my neck.
God, I've missed you.
I don't care anymore, Evelyn, I said, my heart pounding. Let's get out of here. How about that hot pot place we went to before? I'm starving.
David, Ethan's coming home at 8. It's already 7.
Damn it, I totally forgot. Okay, new plan. You go on ahead, walk slow, I'll catch up. I waited until she was a safe distance ahead, then hopped on my bike and caught up to her. As I pulled over, my headlights flashed across her. She turned, her face a mixture of desire and panic. Killed the engine and pulled her close.
We need to be more careful, you know? What if someone sees us?
Let them see, Evelyn, I said, my voice husky. I'm not letting you get away that easily. I leaned in, silencing her protests with a kiss. She kissed me back with equal passion, her body pressed against mine. We were lost in the moment, our hunger for each other growing with every touch.
David,
She began, but I cut her off with another kiss. I know. I feel it too, Evelyn. I gently pushed her towards my bike. Come on, Let's go before we do something we regret. We ended up at a small, dimly lit hot pot restaurant on the edge of town. Evelyn chose a table in the back corner, away from the windows and the other diners. She didn't want anyone to see us together. I couldn't blame her. We ordered our food, and I got a bottle of soju, Korean rice wine. It went down smooth, but it hit you fast.
You shouldn't encourage me to drink, David. You know that.
Come on, loosen up a bit. Besides, we have to stall for time somehow, right? How about a walk in the park after dinner? Help you sober up before you have to face your husband. She just smiled and shook her head. She was already halfway through her second glass of soju. We found another secluded bench in the park. Evelyn pulled out her phone and quickly typed out a text to Ethan.
Stuck at work. Looks like a late one tonight. Don't wait up for me. Love you. He didn't even bother to reply. He doesn't even care.
I pulled her close. Hey, don't waste your tears on that jerk. He obviously doesn't know what he's missing. But I do, Evelyn. And with that, I kissed her. It was a kiss that spoke volumes. All the longing, all the frustration, all the forbidden desire we'd been holding back. She kissed me back with an intensity that took my breath away. We were lost in our own world, oblivious to everything else. The insistent ringing of her phone startled us back to reality.
It's him, she whispered, her voice trembling. What do I do?
Answer it, I said, my voice husky with desire. Just don't let him ruin this. I watched, mesmerized. She held the phone to her ear, her voice breathless.
Hey, honey, what's up? Yeah, I'm just leaving work now. It's crazy busy tonight. Yeah, I grabbed some noodles on the way home. Don't wait up, okay?
She ended the call, her eyes glazed over.
Oh my God, David, you are so bad. If he had called back a few seconds later?
And whose fault is that? I teased, giving her a playful spank. See, you liked it, didn't you? Come on, admit it. She swatted me playfully on the arm.
You're incorrigible, you know that? But seriously, we have to stop. It's getting late.
One more kiss before you go? I pleaded, pulling her close.
Oh, all right. But just one and then I'm out of here.
She didn't put up much of a fight as I kissed her, her lips soft and yielding beneath mine. We were both breathless when we finally broke apart. You taste like soju, I murmured, nuzzling her neck.
And you, my dear David.
We shared a look that spoke volumes. Then she pulled away, her cheeks flushed. I walked her back to my bike, my arm around her waist.
David, this was crazy. Back there, in the park,
We were quiet for a moment, the weight of what had just transpired settling between us. She got on the back of my bike, her arms wrapping around me again. As we drove back towards her apartment, I could feel her trembling against me.
David, you're a bad influence on me. You know that?
I just chuckled and held her a little tighter. As I pulled up to my building, she called out, "Text me when you get inside, okay?" Few minutes later, her text came through.
Safe and sound.
You should go take a cold shower, Evelyn. Cool down a bit.
Haha, very funny. Maybe you should too.
Only if you show me what I'm missing.
David, stop it.
She sent a photo of herself in the bathroom, her phone strategically positioned to hide anything too revealing. Evelyn, you're killing me. Come on, just one little peek? I can't sleep thinking about you like this. Wow. Evelyn, you are so beautiful. I want you so bad. Later that night, I checked the camera feed. She was lying in bed, scrolling through her phone. I had a feeling she was looking at those photos I'd sent.
David, you're a total perv, you know that? I swear you're gonna drive me crazy.
But you like it, don't you? Admit it, Evelyn. I know you feel it too.
Stop it, David. This is madness. If you really cared about me, you'd leave me alone.
Evelyn, I do care about you. But I also want you badly. And I know you want me too. Don't deny it. Be honest with me. Do you ever, take care of yourself?
Of course not. What kind of woman do you think I am?
Come on, Evelyn, don't be shy. Every gay guy does it. Every girl does it. It's normal.
Oh my God, you are impossible. Good night, David, and don't even think about texting me again tonight. Ethan's working nights next week, and I need my beauty sleep.
A few days later, just as I was scrolling through my Facebook feed, I got another text from her.
You asleep?
Nope. Still up. Can't sleep without saying goodnight to you.
Don't be silly.
I'm serious. Come on, Evelyn. Don't leave me hanging. Show me what you're hiding under those sheets. Pretty please?
Don't be ridiculous. Your photos were more than enough for one lifetime. Besides, mine aren't nearly as aesthetically pleasing as yours.
Evelyn, I'm begging you. I love everything about you. You could be wearing a potato sack, and I'd still think you were the most beautiful woman in the world. Come on, don't you trust me?
David, I swear, if you ever show those photos to anyone.
Never. I would never betray you like that, Evelyn. You know I wouldn't. Come on, just one little photo? I'll die a happy man. She finally gave in.
Okay, here you go. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Oh my God, Evelyn. You're even more beautiful than I imagined. I can't take it anymore.
All right, that's it. I'm logging off. No more dirty talk tonight. Good night, David.
This became our routine. We'd text each other constantly, our conversations getting more and more explicit. So tell me, Evelyn, did those photos do anything for you? Be honest.
Well, at first I thought you were crazy, but I don't know, you kind of wore me down, I guess. After a while, I stopped feeling embarrassed and started, well...
Started what? Don't leave me hanging, Evelyn.
Your photos, let's just say they're very persuasive.
She sent me a video. It was everything I'd ever fantasized about. Evelyn, you're incredible. Let me come over, I'll take care of you.
No, David, I'm not ready for that. Please don't push me.
Come on, Evelyn, we both know where this is going. Why fight it? I love you. I want to be with you.
David, it's not that simple. I can't just leave my husband. What about my kids? What would people think?
People, screw them. This is about us, Evelyn. You deserve to be happy, to feel loved and cherished. And I can give you that.
David, I do have feelings for you, but sleeping together is one thing. A real relationship, that's a whole different story. I need time to think.
Okay, I'll give you space. But just promise me you'll take care of yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh, stop it, you. I can handle myself. Thank you very much. I should go. Good night, David.
For the next month, our late-night texting continued. We both found a strange comfort in sharing our deepest desires, our frustrations, and the emptiness that Ethan couldn't fill. Each conversation, each stolen photo and video, only intensified Evelyn's longing. She started making excuses to meet me more often. Sometimes, she wouldn't even go home for lunch, meeting me instead at the eucalyptus grove near our apartment complex. I'd park my bike behind a clump of trees, and she'd stand facing the wall, her back to me. We'd lose ourselves in each other, our kisses desperate and hungry, like lovers reunited after a long separation. One afternoon, we were getting a little carried away, our hands roaming when the sound of a motorbike ripped through the quiet grove. We jumped apart, our hearts pounding. It was a group of guys from our apartment complex, heading back from a drinking session. A few of them pointed and snickered as they rode past. I felt a surge of panic. Did they recognize us? Evelyn, to her credit, remained calm.
Don't worry, David. We'll just have to be more careful. Another time, okay?
Yeah, sure, I mumbled, trying to hide my disappointment. As we walked back to our apartments, she admitted,
God, that was frustrating. I'm so turned on right now.
Me too, I agreed, my voice husky. How about you take a nice hot shower and then send me a little something to help me get through the night? She giggled, and that night, true to her word, I received another video of her taking care of herself. I couldn't help but smile. I knew, without a doubt, she was falling for me. Ethan worked the night shift for the next 2 weeks, which meant we had to wait until the following Saturday for our next encounter. My coworkers invited me out for a night of drinking, and I decided to ask Evelyn to come along. It's a friend's birthday, I told her. Come on, it'll be fun.
I don't know, David. Ethan's not exactly thrilled when I go out without him.
Come on, Evelyn. You deserve a night out. Tell him you're going to a girlfriend's birthday party. He won't even care. As usual, I was right. Ethan barely looked up from his phone when she told him her plans. He just grunted and told her to have fun. I met Evelyn down the street, away from prying eyes. I couldn't help but smile when I saw her. She looked stunning in a tight dress that hugged her curves. My coworkers, all single guys, were smitten with her. They kept buying her drinks, and it wasn't long before she was tipsy and laughing, her head resting on my shoulder. To anyone watching, we looked like a couple. By the time we left the bar, it was close to 10 p.m., and Evelyn was definitely feeling the effects of the alcohol. I unlocked her apartment door, and she stumbled inside, collapsing onto the bed, she fumbling for her phone. I slipped out of the room, giving her some privacy while she made her excuses. I could hear him asking if she was home yet, and her slurred reply,
Yeah, honey, I'm home. Just got in, so tired, gonna crash. Love you.
As soon as I heard her hang up, I grabbed my keys and headed back to my own apartment. I locked the door, then crept back over to Evelyn's place, my heart pounding in my chest. I quietly slipped inside, locking the door behind me. It was happening. After weeks of stolen kisses and late-night texts, we were finally crossing the line. Evelyn, lonely and desperate for affection, was giving herself to me, her much younger neighbor. I froze for a moment, captivated by her beauty. She was lying on the bed, her eyes closed, her chest rising and falling softly with each breath. I leaned down and kissed her gently. "You're so beautiful, Evelyn," I whispered, my voice husky with desire. So soft, so perfect. She opened her eyes, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "Let's make tonight unforgettable," I murmured. She nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of longing and surrender. I took my time, savoring every touch, every taste, every sound. She responded with abandon, her echoing softly in the dimly lit room.
"Oh, David," she whispered, her voice trembling. That's amazing. I haven't felt this good in years."
It was like something had been unleashed inside of her. A wildness, a passion that Ethan had long since extinguished. That night, she came alive in my arms. We loved 4 times, each encounter more intense than the last. Afterwards, she snuggled close to me, her head resting on my chest.
"David, I love you. I think I've loved you for a long time."
"I love you too, Evelyn," I whispered back, holding her close. "I love your body, your spirit, everything about you." Evelyn had replaced Anya in my heart, becoming my everything. Following year, after I finished my mechanics course, I moved back to Willow Creek and opened my own shop. Business was good, and I finally had a chance to visit Anya. I found her tending her garden, her beauty untouched by time. We embraced, both of us speechless with emotion. Anya was still the same sweet, alluring woman I'd known all those years ago. As for Evelyn, she and Ethan had moved back east to be closer to her family. I heard she was working at a factory near their hometown. Returning to Willow Creek, reconnecting with Anya, made me realize the truth about my relationship with Evelyn. It had been fueled by passion and desire, a way to escape the loneliness and frustration we both felt. But it had also been a betrayal, a threat to Ethan's marriage, however flawed it might have been. I was lucky that Ethan had never found out about us. Back in Willow Creek, Anya was still waiting for me. She threw her arms around me, tears streaming down her face as she relived our memories by the well. For 3 years, she'd waited patiently for my return, remaining faithful despite the temptation to seek comfort elsewhere. I admired her strength, her loyalty. I knew I could never find another woman like her. A few months later, we were married. The wedding was a big affair, the whole town celebrating with us. Anya, at 37, was a radiant bride, her eyes sparkling with happiness. I was 22 and ready to start a new chapter in my life with the woman I'd always loved. Looking back, I realized that both Evelyn and I found our own kind of happy ending. I returned to my roots, to my first love, while she was able to salvage her marriage and build a new life with her husband. We all found our way back home to the people and places that mattered most. And that, my friends, is the story of my first love. Thank you for listening, and until next time, good night.